Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here at the Hollywood Museum in the historic Max Factor building, and we welcome you to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are actor Todd Waring and composer Molly Bell. Actor, writer Todd Waring was born and raised in New York. You probably know him for his work on Splash 2, Love and Murder, and Sinatra. He's been seen on lots of stages and in a variety of TV roles. So where did you train to be an actor, Todd?
Originally at schools, Skidmore in upstate New York, but then I came down to New York and took classes at Herbert Berghoff Studios and a Shakespeare class with Robert Smith. I began to do some off-Broadway, a little bit of off-Broadway, but then I got cast in The Real Thing with Jeremy Irons and Glenn Close, and that was a lot of fun.
So what was that?
It was a play by Tom Stoppard.
Wow.
And it ran for quite a while, and I was understudying first, but then I got to go on for a couple of roles.
That was fabulous. Yeah. That was right early in your career?
Yeah.
And then what kind of roles come to you? What do you go out for?
It has changed over time, obviously. Now I get, presidential candidates and
that's good.
movers and shakers.
But
and
in the movies and on TV.
In the movies, early on it was, the sort of the goofy boyfriend. I
really?
had sitcoms, all kinds of, the guy you would want to be your boyfriend until you got to know him.
Oh, that's it.
And then you realized he was this or that, or, wore a toupee or something like that, yeah.
And on the stage, those vary, I guess, right?
It varies completely. I mean, the last thing I did, which was here in Los Angeles, was a really great play called Cock, where I played the father of one of the characters who was a British guy.
Do you have an accent?
I hope not. As I'm talking to you, I hope there's no accent. But yeah, I can do accents. Yeah.
So they come in and train you before you go on?
Actually, I have a pretty good ear, so I pick them up. So this character was just a British guy.
Was there acting in your family? Are you related to Fred Waring, the music person? Waring.
I wish I were related to Fred Waring and all of his Pennsylvanians.
Oh, is that right? And we have a street in Hollywood, yes. Waring.
Yes, you have a street in Hollywood, Waring.
Yes.
That, this is just a little parenthetical, that is perpendicular to a street called Gordon. And my wife's last name is Gordon.
Right.
And so they intersect almost, but Paramount is right in the way. Gordon comes in this way, Waring comes in that way.
Oh, I know just where it is. You have to have a picture of that. That has to be on your cards. You're married to an actor.
Yes, Eve Gordon. Wonderful actor.
And how does that work out? You have to balance your child raising and your time?
Yes, we did. Both of our kids are in college now, but yeah, there was a lot of handing off, a lot of understanding about late nights and early mornings.
I was going to say, were you like sharing in the fact that you would hold back and let her take a role, or did that ever happen?
To some degree, at a certain point, she had to turn down out-of-town work.
Oh, because of the kids, right? Yeah. I see.
But we did a lot of trading off.
I see. So let's talk about the projects that you just finished Have you finished something before we
yes.
get to the Odyssey?
Yes, I just finished a film that I co-wrote called
really?
Heartland. We shot it last summer, and it was at the Cinequest Film Festival in San Jose.
Wow.
Like 2 weeks ago or so.
Did you act in it?
I had a very small part in it in the beginning, but my co-writer, Valinda Godfrey, starred in it, and she is wonderful in it. We got the Audience Award.
Fabulous. How'd you get the director?
Valinda met the director at a industry event. They hit it off, basically because they both liked camping. But then they got to know each other, and she's a good producer and has produced a lot of things and is starting to direct, and so we used her also because she helped produce.
But as soon as you get these kind of awards, then you go to more and more festivals, right? With your film?
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? We're hoping. We're hoping to get to the LA Film Festival.
That'd be great, yeah. And it's full-length film?
Yeah.
And the story is yours?
The story is mine and Valinda's.
And Valinda's,
she
too.
grew up in suburban Oklahoma, and she said, let's write a film. And I came up with a couple of ideas. She picked one, and then we were off and running.
Let's talk about the play you're in now at the Odyssey.
Yes.
What's it called? Dinner at Home?
Yes, Dinner at Home Between Deaths.
Okay, and who wrote that?
Andrea Lepsia.
A woman wrote it.
Yes.
And it's about, I'm going to let you tell us what it's about, but go on, tell us what it's about.
It's about the financial collapse of the banking system at dinner.
And you play a Bernie Madoff kind of character,
yes,
right?
a Bernie Madoff character who has been running a scam for quite some time, and everything begins to collapse in on him, and so he just becomes a worse person.
But at your dinner table are only women, right?
Yes, there is my wife and her sister. My wife played by Diane Carey, her sister played by Andrea Evans, and my assistant played by Amy Lynn Abalera.
Very difficult to say. Amy Lynn is spelled really long.
Yes, it is.
So you're on stage with 3 women.
Yes.
And do they batter you?
There's some battering. There's a little bit of battering, but I can take it, and I sort of bounce between scenes.
And then Stuart Ross, who's directed so many plays, is now directing you.
Yeah, he usually directs musical comedies, so he's very hands-on about choreography and that sort of thing. But with this, he's got a much lighter touch.
And what style is he doing? Does he direct you completely? Stand here, stand there?
No, it's more like play around on stage. Let me watch. I'll get some ideas. Oh, that's good. Oh, I like that. And you know what? Try this. Try that. Oh, great. We got a scene.
So, what does your character? How do you have to get into character? Because you're not really a bad guy, but maybe you don't even think you're a bad guy, right?
Exactly. I have to learn my lines. That's kind of how I get into character. Really learn those lines and read them over and over again. Read them over, and you get to do. You work through the part. You work through the part, and then you begin to see what are the problems that this character thinks are important, and what is not important, and that begins to shape how he behaves.
Did you have to research it? Did you research the financial world?
I hate to say it, but no, I didn't. I mean, I read the news at the time, so I know some of these terms, and I know that there was a lot of leveraged scamming going on.
There was a lot, and as we said, you're sitting with 3 women. What's the death part?
I don't want to give too much away, but
okay.
women's lives are in peril.
Okay, but the thing is, in the end, I know you all are protecting each other in a way, right?
Yes, I've to an extent I've sandbagged everybody, but it's also really the best for everybody if we simply move on from these tragedies.
And it's always that way with the bad guy. He always wants to move on, doesn't he? He
Yes.
doesn't want to sit there.
Talk about the past. What's the matter with you?
I know.
We're thinking about the future.
And
Yes.
At the Odyssey, do you do your rehearsals there?
Yeah, we started rehearsing in the Valley at a studio, but now we're at the Odyssey in a rehearsal room. But we're going to be moving to the stage soon. They're doing a fantastic set.
Oh, tell me about the set.
It's sort of a transforming set. Like a kitchen table turns into a bathroom tub, and
great.
the desks turn into commodes and that sort of thing.
In the lighting?
I have no idea what the lighting.
Oh, because you're just setting it up,
Yes,
right?
yes. I'm sure there'll be light things and there'll be dark things. That's the only.
And do you
part I
move
know.
around? I mean, do you move from your dining room table?
There are flashbacks, and the set transforms a little bit into a large cutter in a slip, and then also off to the East River.
Okay. Oh, in the East River. So it is in New York?
It's in New York.
So it's pretty much.
Yes.
She must have researched a lot.
She lived there. Yes. There's dirty doings down at Hell's Gate.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we've got to see your play. Is there anything else we should see of yours before we leave?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay.
Great. Well, it's a pleasure.
I'm glad you
My
were with
goodness.
us, and I'm glad you were with us today. Don't go away, because we'll be right back with writer, actor Molly Bell. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here at the Hollywood Museum in the heart of Hollywood, and we're in the historic Max Factor building. Our guest is writer, composer Molly Bell. She's also an actor. She was born and raised in Los Altos, which is the heart of Silicon Valley, just like we're in the heart of Hollywood. She attended Pacific Conservatory in Central California and Marymount Manhattan College in New York City. As an actor, she's been on many stages across the U.S., and she teaches dance in the Bay Area, where she lives with her family. And Molly's written lots of musicals, Becoming Brittany.
Well, 2 musicals, really.
Oh, I think that's what? Real Housewives, the musical?
That's right.
And
That's
what
one
about this one of Toluca Lake?
Well, Real Housewives, the musical, is Real Housewives of Toluca Lake. So it'll go what city it goes in.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you about. So how do you know about Toluca Lake?
Well, I don't. I've learned about Toluca Lake through various people, and in each city that we go to, I'll learn what the,
And then how do you change it?
I have specific points within the script that I'll say, not for lack of a better word, insert joke here, or locales, I'm looking
Because
for.
I was wondering, you're from Northern California. Why didn't she write The Housewives of San Francisco?
Well, so originally I did write. It's called Real Housewives of Walnut Creek, which is a little town
Chicer,
outside of
yes.
outside of San Francisco, and so that premiered there 2 years ago. And then from there, I was asked to bring it to Toluca Lake.
How did you think of changing the inserts, whatever?
Well, the good news is that people act the same no matter what town they're in. So jokes work wherever you are. What we're looking for is, specific things about the Tolucan Times.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
Locales that we're going to, and so we've tried to find little moments, and also it's Gary Marshall's theater, so little moments about Gary Marshall that we think the audience would. And
so you add a little bit.
We've added a little bit here and there, and because people really want to see something that's about their town.
Well, let's talk about the production at the Falcon Theater, because it is Gary Marshall's theater. He actually keeps it going because he loves theater.
Yeah, his daughter does a lot of the day-to-day work, Kathleen Marshall, and Gary, Gary sits on the board and is very involved. But he has his production studio right across the way, so he sort of comes and goes.
Is it a big theater?
It's no, it's not huge. It's about 100 and I want to say 38
So
seats.
it's one theater.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. But it's
not a
really well done, and he took a lot. You can tell he took a lot of time with thinking about the seating. It's a beautiful, beautiful theater.
So it's raked?
It is. It feels like it's quite larger than it is, but it's really only 138 seats.
And so did you talk to Gary?
A little bit, yeah. I got some notes. That was a weird experience, getting emailed notes from Gary Marshall.
I know, that's
So,
pretty cool.
What's happened to my life?
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it was really cool.
And could you use those in the script?
Yeah, I definitely did. He had a lot of good notes about making the characters very specific, and they all have a through line. So
Well, let's start at the beginning. When did you decide to be an actress or a singer or a composer? Right.
So I started professionally acting when I was 23, about then.
Oh, pretty late.
No, well, I had done it non-professionally. As you know, I grew up in youth theater as a child, and then as soon as I decided to go to school for it, then I came home to Northern California, got married, and got my Actors Equity card.
But did you take classes at Marymount?
Yeah, I graduated with a Bachelor
So
of
on
Fine Arts.
71st Street, that Marymount?
Yep,
Because I have an apartment down the street.
Oh, really?
And I love to walk by Marymount.
Yeah,
The
that's
girls,
right.
I know.
Yeah, all the ballet girls
Exactly.
standing outside. Yeah, I was more of a theater geek than a ballet girl, but
Well, they kind of like stand out there and
Yeah.
you know, like some of them like, oh dear, what am I going to do next?
right, exactly. Yeah, it was a great school.
So did you take singing there?
Yeah, I minored in musical theater, but my focus was in acting.
Oh, but
And-
why didn't you stay and go on Broadway?
Well,
or off Broadway?
Yeah,
or-
I have thought about that, and I always felt like my career was a little bit backwards. You know, it was really important to me that I start a family, and my mom and my family is out in Northern California, and my high school sweetheart was there. So we knew we wanted to get married. So I came home, and I think that I'll probably, Broadway is still on my bucket list. Make my Broadway debut when I'm 50.
And you had your family.
That's right, yeah. And so it was important that I do that.
So up there you're teaching cardio and dance. And what are you teaching?
I teach a fitness-based dance class that anyone who can take, as long as they're willing to try.
And does it really have anything to do with the stage?
It absolutely does. I think that the difference with something that I teach is that we're also in the class, they're performing, and so
yeah, right.
and we do a lot of Broadway. You know, even though it's cardio based, we
music.
do a lot of, that's right, yeah. And so they feel like they're presenting and doing a show, which translates into a better workout. It's really funny that way, but I think that's what sets my class apart from other people's class.
Tell me a little bit about how you wrote. We'll go back to
Sure.
The Housewives.
Yeah.
How did you write it?
Well, I was asked to write it by a small company called Center Rep in Walnut Creek, like I mentioned. So I had a year. They announced it in their
And
season.
you hadn't written anything?
Hadn't written a word. I just had an idea. And I'd say that that's probably one of the best things to do is have an opening date.
But because it gave you a deadline,
Yeah,
right?
you don't have to. Yeah, there is no thinking about. You just got to go.
But was it from the TV? Did you kind of use that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm using the TV, the reality show as a source material and picking up on different things that happen, in whatever city that we're in, and what would that be in a musicalized moment.
And then when you wrote Becoming Britney,
About Britney Spears.
yeah,
Right.
How did that come about?
That was my first show that I wrote that I decided I wanted something to do when I was at home with my firstborn son, because I knew I would be not performing for a while. So I decided to write a musical. And then I gave it to the Fringe Festival in New York City and was accepted. So then I had to finish it.
So did you write the music?
Yep, I co-wrote the book and co-wrote the music. I have a collaborator up north.
Who's that?
Her name is Dea Curley.
And she's written a lot, hasn't she?
Yeah,
She's done
exactly.
a lot of work.
And so we went to New York with it, and that was my first I played Britney.
Oh, you did?
Originally, it was conceived of because I can dance like Britney Spears, and I'm blonde. That's about where the similarities end.
And singing?
Yes, but we thought it would be fun if we musicalized her life, and we did. It was great. It was really well received at the Fringe.
So it started at the Fringe, and
then
it
from
stayed
there-
off Broadway?
It played there for, I think, 7 performances. It's
Fringe is small.
Yeah, it's part of that
Right.
at the Bleecker Street Theater.
Right.
And then,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. Then we brought it back, and two companies produced it.
Okay, so we're in New York now. We're off Broadway. You've originated Broadway roles. Like Memphis?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So in Northern California, there's a theater there called Theater Works in Palo Alto, and they're sort of an incubator for New York-bound shows. And I was lucky to be in a period where they were bringing in a lot of new musicals that were slated to go, and then work with the composers and directors, just like I'm doing now, acting as the composer now. And
so
we
it's
would work
all
on
written.
Yep,
It's brought
staged.
to the theater.
That brought to the theater. Some are fully staged and some are just readings. But this particular theater houses a lot of new works.
Do they
And
bring
then-
actors with them?
Mhm. Sometimes they're from New York, and sometimes they're people like me who are local, and they can use for developing characters. And it just so happens that I was there during Vanities, the musical, Memphis, so all these shows that have gone on to bigger and greater things.
Memphis was big on
Yeah.
Broadway. In fact, one of my friends, Chase Michigan, was a producer,
Mm-hmm.
and she was always spending time out of town. She must have been
in
where you
Northern
were.
California,
Yeah.
yeah. So I watched people come in and do shows there, and I thought to myself I could do that. So that's how I got the idea
so
of
you
writing
did
musicals.
that. When you say with Memphis, because that was very familiar to me, and
Yeah.
the music was what 70s?
Oh, it's pretty much 50s.
50s,
Yeah,
50s.
the guy that wrote that is the keyboardist for John Bon Jovi.
So it was
He wrote
50s
it.
more.
Yeah.
Did you have to learn all the lines? Were you like the actress in it?
So I was in the chorus of that musical and played a couple of different parts that then went on to be created into another part that ended up on Broadway. And but that tells the story of a singer and a white disc jockey
Right.
that goes into, yeah.
Right. And then what about Vanities? What was that story?
So Vanities was originally a play about three women.
Oh, right.
And the author came, his name is escaping me right now, and
Oh,
they
he came
musicalized.
too?
He was
Oh.
there because they were turning his script into they were hoping for Broadway, but ended up off Broadway. And
so then they write the music while he's there?
yeah. And it's all part of a musical takes sometimes 5 to 10 years to get anywhere, and it goes through all these different.
A lot of changes.
Yeah, I probably have about 15 or 20 drafts of Real Housewives.
Of your own one that you? Oh,
Yeah, that
and
it's
then
been
what
morphing and changing and becoming tighter in places and
you
losing
worked
jokes.
on A Little Princess too?
Yeah, I worked on The Little Princess, which never made it to Broadway, which is a good example of a really big show that people think is going to be a hit, and then it goes on to now it
What
has a regional.
happens, do you think?
I think it's just about timing what's on Broadway at that time, where
it
the
the
money is
person-
coming from, how expensive the show is to run.
Yeah.
That's a huge cast. It was a really big cast, and although the music is great, it just, for whatever time, at that period in time, was just too much to make the move.
It's interesting because you've gone through all this machination, and your piece is a small piece, right?
I
In a
did it that
small
way on
theater.
purpose because nowadays there are theaters have a hard time doing those bigger musicals, and so I wanted to create something that could be done by 6 people, and
Now let's talk about the cast.
yeah, so it's 5 women who make up all the different parts of the sort of the not the typical people we see on the reality show.
And what are they? Who are they?
I have 5 main girls or wives. We have Joanne, the head housewife, who is the one that we watch go through turmoil in her life at the top of the show, and then we watch her try and fight her way back up to the top. Beezus is the oldest housewife that's trying to pretend like she's not getting older.
Oh, yes, we know that.
Penny's the Christian hand model. She's the one who is always professing her love for Jesus, and but she's sexy at the same time. And then we have Babette trying to keep her marriage afloat, and Lulu, who's the mysterious one with an accent that no one really knows where she's from.
Is she a housewife too?
That's right. They
Does
all
she have a
s-
husband? They all do?
She's divorced.
Ah, so you have
And
this.
they all have a secret that they're hiding, which is really what the show is about.
And do they sing? All of them
All
sing?
of them sing, and there's one man who plays 18 roles.
How do you get the music for like this little theater? And
So the music right now is tracked. So I have a orchestrator at home. Her name is Dolores Duran-Cephalou, and we've been working together for the past couple of years. And she develops all our tracks. It's just a little easier than having a live band on stage in that particular space.
So what happens? The engineer puts the track on? Tell us about it a little bit, just to get the idea.
It's tricky. We have over 180 sound cues in the play.
So those are cues that somebody has to like boom, boom, boom.
That's right. And finding, that's exactly what we're working out right now in the previews, is how loud they need to be, how fast they need to come in, the balance of voices. It's a hard thing when you're working with tracks.
And what about the women? They have to know what's happening too, right? And so you have to coordinate that.
But that's all done in the rehearsal process, and they're professionals. They're very quick on their feet.
How did you cast them?
They're
from here, right?
They're from here. Yeah, we had a casting director, and I flew in for a day of casting. We had a reading of the musical in December, so we had a few people that we knew that we'd like to keep from that. And then we just saw all the different wives and came up with a fabulous cast.
And what about the choreography?
So the choreography is done by Roger Castellano, and he is a friend of the Roger Bean, the directors.
I was going to ask you about the director.
Yeah.
Who brought the director in?
So the director is producing the show, and he flew to Northern California and saw my show, and then wanted to make it continue. So he is, Roger Bean wrote the musical Marvelous Wonderettes.
Oh, he's fabulous.
Yes.
Because it started here in a small theater.
That's right.
And went to off-Broadway.
It's one of the longest off-Broadway, running hits.
Oh, that's
and
he wrote it?
He is now using his success to help develop writers like me.
Oh, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
So he comes in and gives you...
Yeah, he's directing the whole show, and he's also producer along with the Falcon Theater, so it's a co-production. And then we'll sort of see where we're at with this production and then where we want it to go.
Does it look pretty much like it did in Northern California?
Yeah, it's a little bigger, this production.
The stage is bigger?
Yeah, so we're finding out how we need to fill it and where it's sort of where the audience can't hear things. So we're working out those moments.
The props?
Before it was,
What about props?
Props and costumes are just right now crazy backstage. It's just crazy. And there's a lot. It's a big show for being such a small show. It feels like a large musical. So asking 6 actors to do it
and dressing and
within
changing?
2 hours. Yep, it's a big accomplishment.
And you have dressers backstage?
We have one dresser who is also handling all the props.
So what do they do?
Lot.
Do they have Velcro?
Yep. It's a lot of things are quick rigged, and then I think they're probably end up just throwing it backstage until the rest of the show, until they can come back and clean it all up. It's a little bit of a teenager's bedroom back there. and one lady is handling all the backstage. It's a lot.
And then what about the poor man? He has 18 changes.
Oh my gosh.
Does he change?
The most, yeah.
The most?
Yeah, he probably loses about 1,000 calories per show. He's working out so hard. It's a great vehicle for him to play all the 18 characters, and it really is fun for the audience to watch him changing.
I know, because you keep looking.
Yeah.
It's like a gentleman's guide
Yes, exactly
to love
right.
and murder. And you watch Jefferson Mays change so many times.
Yeah.
And sometimes he comes out with his wig half off.
Yeah, that's right. And that's part of the fun of the show, right? For the audience to go along and watch the actor try and figure it out. So it's really fun.
Well, this was fun too.
Yeah.
We really got the inside backstage stuff. So thank you, Molly.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And thanks for watching. Keep writing to JAQUINN1 at AOL.com. And we'll see you next time.